All right, so today we're going to be talking about the FDA Food Facility Registration. Now, this is very important. And again, it depends on who you are. If you are somebody who is manufacturing food products, right, you sell locally now, you need to know about expanding to the US market. Because again, the US market offers amazing opportunities for you as a food seller, irrespective of where you are in the world, to make more profit. Now, this video will also help those of you who are currently exporting to the USA, but have been charged exorbitantly. You know, somebody sent me an email the other day and was like, oh, why is this company charging me over $1,000 just to register a food facility registration, right? And I'm going to show you in this video how you can save massively on your food facility registration. Now, there are some of you who are probably tired of a 9-to-5 job. You want to start building a business. You have the capital. Look, food export to the USA is a very lucrative business, right? So that is what I'm going to be talking about. And if you are somebody in this category, you need to watch the video to the end. Now, why should you export to the USA? Like I said, I'm talking about food facility registration, but again, it's important for you to understand why you need to start exporting food to the USA if you are not. And if you are, you may be doing certain things wrong. This video is going to clarify a lot of things. Now, there is a growing demand for natural products that are not GMOs, not genetically modified, right, in the USA. And again, you have a lot of these products in places like Africa and a lot of other continents. And that's why you need to learn, because again, these products are highly profitable in the USA. Now, there are numerous food options. You have more profit selling in the USA. A lot of people that I see have gone to countries, have gone to places where products that they are selling for 50 cents and they are making profit is selling in the USA for about $2, $3, $4. Right? Because they have more purchasing power. So you need to consider that and start thinking about exporting to the USA. Now, for some of you who are from Africa, you are from the sub-Saharan African region, there is an agreement with the USA called AGOA. Now, this agreement allows you to export your food products into the USA absolutely duty-free. So that gives you an edge. That gives you the opportunity to make more profit, to sell your product way cheaper than people who are bringing them in from other countries, right? And again, like I said, there is a huge immigrant community out there in the USA, right? So they are beginning to yearn. They want the products that they are used to from their home country. And it's the only way to satisfy that need is if you, who is in Africa or any other part, begin to export products to the USA. Again, one of the things you need to know is that any food product going to the USA is highly regulated. You need to have your FDA Food Facility Registration. And that's what we are talking about today. Again, look, let's get it right. I've seen a lot of you do this and it's wrong. No commercial food shipment can go into the US without a valid food facility registration. It is a must. Now, what will happen if you ship products to the USA without your food facility registration? Number one is that they may destroy it. Right? If they destroy it, you have broken the US laws. You are not supposed to have exported such products to the USA without a food registration. Number two is they may allow it to be returned back to you. And again, if they are returning it back to you, who pays for the shipping? You will pay. They will just send you a notice, send it to the airline. You have to arrange with the airline to ship it out. Now, the last option that doesn't happen all the time is that they may allow you, they may hold it and tell you to go and register a food facility registration. Now, I have seen this only once and it's rare. Typically, they will either seize it or have it returned back to you. So again, the rule of thumb is do not ship. Again, I will say it, do not ship any commercial quantities of food into the USA if you don't have your food facility registration. Now, some of you will say, okay, I shipped my products and it got to the USA, say January 10th. And, I discovered I didn't have my food facility registration and I now registered, say, on January 20th. Now, this won't work because you have registered after the product was shipped. Typically, they will seize it. Any new shipment, this registration will only affect new shipments. So take note of that. Don't try and play, you want to first ship and then you go register. Please don't do that, okay? All right, so what am I going to be talking about in today's video, right? It's very important. Number one, we need to know who is the FDA and what it is that they do. I'm going to talk about that, give you a brief history of the FDA. Then we're going to need to know what is a food facility registration, right? Now, if I am teaching you about what a food facility registration is, obviously we're going to talk about what is a food facility. Very important for you to know that. Then what foods and operations are allowed if you have to register a food facility, right? Very, very important. Who is a US agent? This is a term many of you may not know if you are new to food facility registration, but obviously a US agent is one that helps to facilitate the registration. We'll talk more about that. How and when do you renew your registration? This is so important because I have seen people who registered and they forgot about it. FDA sent them notifications that their registration is expiring. They didn't check their email, they didn't take it seriously. And when their products reached the USA, they were seized. Again, this is going to be the situation that will happen. You have a registration that was expired, it got to the USA on the 10th, and then you went to renew on the 20th. It typically will not work. You must have a valid registration before you ship your products into the USA. Now, why will the FDA cancel my registration? I have seen instances where registrations were canceled, so we're going to talk about that briefly. We'll also talk about FDA inspections, again, because if you register, they may come to inspect your facility. So we're going to talk about some of the little things that they're going to check when they come to inspect you. We'll talk, obviously, how do I register? That's why a lot of you are watching this video. And then we'll talk about how to save you money on your registration. One of the things I have seen companies charging over $1,000 just to do an FDA food facility registration and US agent service. And this is huge, right? I'm going to show you how to save over 80% on these registrations, okay? Then we'll also talk about a few other things that affect FDA food facility registration. Now, who am I? You know, a lot of you are wondering, oh, does he know what it means? What it's talking about to be able to talk about the FDA. Look, I am based in the USA. I have been the MD, the CEO, the founder of American SC Cargo. We've shipped thousands of products between the US, Africa, and a lot of other countries. And a lot of these products are food products. Again, so I know what I'm talking about when we talk about FDA and food facility registration. We've helped thousands of companies bring in food products into the USA. I also started a company, Export and Sell, where we help African businesses bring their product to start an export business into the USA. We have people who we have helped. You know, they started with us, and within 12 months, they were doing about $100,000 every month in export, and that's what we do. So later on, we combined both companies, Export and Sell, and the shipping arm to form African Import-Export Solution, and we are basically focusing on helping African businesses start a profitable export business. Now, something like FDA Food Facility Registration is something that we can do for you, whether you're in Africa or anywhere in the world, it doesn't matter. But again, our focus is to help African businesses start a wonderful export business to the USA, right? So that's what we do. And as you can see on the screen, I do teachings. You know, I have been organized seminars where there were over 1,000 businesses in attendance. We've worked with some of the partner banks there in Africa. We've worked with government agencies. We've been funded by various government agencies to help African businesses go into export. So that's really what I am. So again, I know what I'm talking about, and you will soon see from this video. All right, let's get into the training proper. Now, the first question is, who is the US FDA? Now, the US FDA is the government body that is responsible for regulating food, cosmetic, medical devices, and drugs that are going to be consumed by the US consumers. Now, one of the key roles that they do is to make sure, especially for you exporters, that the quality of product you are exporting to the USA is equivalent to the local quality that is made in the USA, right? There is nothing like, oh, this is the quality that a US company makes, and because you are an exporter, this is your quality. No, the FDA is there at the ports to regulate, to monitor those things, to make sure that the US consumer, the quality of what they get is the same, whether it is manufactured locally or manufactured internationally. So again, and when we talk about food, we're talking about both animal and human food, right? So that basically is what the FDA does. They basically regulate and make sure that these things are in proper condition for human consumption, right? Now, what is food facility registration? Because that's what we're talking about today. Now, food facility registration is done for companies who manufacture, process, pack, or store. So there are 4 key things. Manufacture. If you manufacture food, you process, you pack, or you store food products that are going to be consumed in the USA. You must have an FDA food facility registration. So again, if you manufacture, you process, you pack, or store food that is going to be consumed in the USA. Now, I'm emphasizing on this for one key reason, because I've seen people who come to me and they said, look, I am not the manufacturer of the food product, so I'm not able to export and sell to the USA. No, if you are not the manufacturer, if you pack those food products or you store those food products before. So basically, you have a warehouse where you store those products before you ship it to the USA. Then you can register for an FDA Food Facility Registration and begin to conduct export business into the USA. Now, you're going to understand why these 4 things is so important in the food facility registration as we move on, right? Again, so any company that wants to sell food in the USA must register. Now, what is the reason? It is required so that the FDA can track any food product, know where they are coming from. So let me give you an example. You have maybe a chocolate bar, right? A chocolate bar that is being sold in, say, California. Some are being sold in Texas. And all of a sudden, they discover that there are some salmonella or other form of infections or whatever you call it in these samples of chocolate bar, right? So when they discover that, the FDA will check the details of that product. They will be able to know where the facility was registered. And once they know, okay, this facility is coming from, say, South Africa, right? Then they are able to reach out to that facility and tell them, okay, we're having issues with this product. Can you check? They will also reach out to the importer of record. There's what you call the importer of record, and this refers to the US company that is basically importing those food products from the USA. They will reach out to them and make sure that they either mop up all the samples of that chocolate bar that has those issues. And that is really the reason why your facility needs to be registered. There is really nothing more to it. This is the key reason why you need it registered, okay? So again, the food facility registration is based on the FDA Act. I think the initial FDA Act was as far back as 1938, but the requirement to have a food facility registration came up sometime in, I think, the Bioterrorism Act of 2002, and then you have the Food Safety Modernization Act of 2011. So I think it was under the Bioterrorism Act of 2002 that facilities exporting to the USA were required to have the registration. So again, like I said, your registration must be done before you do any commercial shipment to the USA. Now, what is the essence of the registration? I've already talked a little bit about it. It helps to contain the spread of any form of food contamination, very important. And again, by linking the registration to a physical facility anywhere in the world, the FDA is able to know the source of that outbreak. So again, they can notify companies, and again, it is designed to protect the US consumer, right? There is nothing else, special about the registration. It is designed to protect the US consumer so that if there's any outbreak of disease, they can trace it and stop it, right? So again, what is a food facility? A food facility, like I said, is any facility that manufactures, process, pack, or store products that are going to be consumed in the USA, and they are location specific. We need to get this right, again, because if you don't get this right, and the FDA should come and inspect your facility, and they discover that you just registered your head office for an FDA food facility registration, whereas you have multiple locations, I can tell you for a fact, they are going to cancel that registration, right? So what do I mean by is location specific? So your company is ABC, that's your company name, and you have 3 locations, A, B, and C. These locations are in separate cities, separate addresses. Now, if you send products from here to the USA, you send from here to the USA, and you also send from here to the USA, then you need to register each of these facilities separately. And that's why we say the food facility registration is location specific, right? Because we're trying to figure out, the FDA is trying to figure out where a possible disease could emanate to, okay? So let's take note of that. It's very, very important, right? Now, one registration obviously is required for a facility. This is a question I get all the time, where somebody tells me that, okay, in facility B, we pack and process product X, Y, Z. Do I need a separate registration for X, a separate one for Y? No, you don't. Like I said, FDA Food Facility Registration is location specific. So as long as you register that location, you can export multiple products from that one location to the USA, right? Now, the next question a lot of you will ask is, how does the FDA identify my location? Now, this is something that came about a couple of years ago. And why did it come about? Because they had seen instances where somebody registers a facility, and by the time they go there for inspection, it is another business that is there. So they now had to create a separate system that has some way of authenticating what is going on in that facility. And that way is what they call the UFI, the Unique Facility Identifier. And this is through Dun and Bradstreet. Some of you may know Dun & Bradstreet. They're a global company. They've been in existence for many years. Now, Dun & Bradstreet will issue a number to you, your Dun's number, and that number is tied to your business, right? And with that number, when you register on the FDA for your food facility registration, the FDA will verify that the number you are using corresponds with the details of your registration. So for example, if you have a DUNS number of 12345, right, and you are using this address, the address A is tied to that DUNS number. If the FDA interacts with Dun & Bradstreet database and they see that that address A does not correspond to this, the registration will fail. Right? I have seen this many times with a lot of our registrations, whereby they registered a DUNS number for their head office, and then when they now came into the to register their food facility registration, when the FDA checks the details of that DUNS number and their address, it doesn't match, right? And then that registration fails. So again, you need to be very careful. Your DUNS number must match the details you are putting in your FDA registration. Now, there are many countries, Dun & Bradstreet, they are available in many countries, right? You can Google it and find out their office in your country and have them assign you that number that you can use for your FDA registration, okay? So it's very simple. A typical example is, if a food storage registers with the FDA, you must provide a DUNS number again as your UFI. The FDA calls it UFI, Unique Facility Identifier, but it's your UFI. This UFI is linked to a facility in a specific location, allowing the FDA to track shipments from that location. So I hope this is very clear. You understand the relationship of the DUNS number to your FDA registration. And this is one of the reasons a lot of registration fail. In fact, in all the registrations that we have done, this is the biggest issue that we see. They have a DUNS number that does not relate to the facility that they are registering. So that needs to be cross-checked and taken care of with through Dun & Bradstreet for your registration to pass. Now, what foods must be registered? A very important question. Again, any food, human or animal food. It could be cattle feed, it could be dog and pet food, cat food, fish food. As long as it is for humans and animals, you must register it as part of your food facility registration. And these include things like supplement, beverages, seafood, baked food, raw products that are going to be used in food production. As long as it is food that is consumed by humans and animals, it must be registered. Now, one thing that most people don't talk about is, what is a commercial shipment? I've seen many people ask me that question. And the question is, when do I really need to register a food facility? If I'm just shipping small samples of products to a company, or I'm shipping to my friend or family, look, a lot of times, if you are shipping small samples, maybe you take a 2, 3, 4 packs of food products to DHL and you're shipping it, you will not be required. They won't hold that. But once you have what we call commercial quantities of food, right, the value is high, you may be shipping it to a business, because anytime the US Customs, CBP, Customs and Border Protection, sees that you are shipping a product to a business, it's typically considered as commercial, right? If the value is more than 2,500, and again in customs entry, it moves from what we call informal to a formal entry. The FDA is going to typically take a role in verifying the shipment. And again, the rule of thumb is most food products, right, will go through the FDA, right? If you are somebody who intends to be shipping food products on a regular basis, just be on the safe side and register your FDA food facility registration, okay? Now let's talk about probably what is the most important topic. This is the bedrock of your FDA food facility registration, and you need to understand this very well. Apart from the issue with the DUNS number, the second biggest issue I see is people who use the wrong US agent. Right? So who is a US agent? Now, a US agent is required for all forms of registration. Remember, you are probably here in, so this is your DUNS number and you are here in South Africa, right? The time difference, imagine the time difference between South Africa and the USA, probably 9 hours or thereabout. So you now have your shipment coming into the USA, and FDA has questions. Right? They need to find out, ask you some questions about the food product. It's going to be difficult for the FDA officer here to start dialing the South African code and gets a voicemail and all that. So the function of the US agent is to act as the communicating interface between you and the FDA. So basically, this is the relationship. You have the FDA, you have the US agent, and then you have the exporter. who is exporting the food. So if the FDA needs to reach you, FDA will not call you directly. They will have to contact your US agent, and your US agent will contact you, relay whatever information you need to pass across to the FDA. So again, that is very important. Now, there's a lot of responsibilities that the US agent needs to meet. And one of them is that they must be available 24/7. So obviously, a US agent has to be somebody that has a facility, an office, they have staffs, they have people who are ready to pick up the phone 24/7. And this is one big error that a lot of people make. They use their brother and their sister or somebody they know to act as their US agent. I've even seen some people who register some numbers and they say they are their own US agent. No, a US agent must be physically located in the USA. In USA. You cannot be a US agent and you are outside of the USA. It does not work. They must be physically located in the USA. Okay. Again, your US agent is not your shipper or customs broker. They are totally separate. They are there. They have access to the FDA portal, and your details are there. They are able to communicate you if there is any issue with your shipment. Now, one of the things that the US agent also does, and this is why you need to take this very important. If the FDA needs to inspect your facility, they will typically reach out to the US agent and they will tell you, okay, we're coming to inspect your facility on so date. If the US agent does not reach you because you have selected a US agent who is not properly set up, then when the FDA comes to inspect your facility, you may not be ready. They may fine you, right? And if they fine you, if they go to your facility and they see there are some issues with your facility, when they schedule a re-inspection, they are going to bill the US agent for the cost of that re-inspection. And that's why it's a business. They must be able to cover that cost. And that's why the US agent will charge you for providing that service to you. So again, they speak on your behalf between you and the FDA. It's very important. Don't take it lightly. Do not use your brother or your sister who is not going to pick up the phone once they see it's a number they don't recognize. Only registered and well-positioned companies that have staffs ready to accept calls can be your US agent. And we do that. We have a team, customer service team, I think about 20 people who are there all the time, ready to answer any call from the FDA. Now, FDA inspections, let's talk about that again. So again, registered food facilities are subject to FDA inspections. Like I said earlier, inspections will be scheduled through the US agent, and your US agent will let you know what are they going to be looking at when they are doing an inspection of your facility. Now, this is something you need to be very careful. So the first thing they are going to check is the accuracy of your registration. Did you state that you are in number 3A Main Street, and they check your registration and they see that it's actually 5A, or you are in a totally different street? They will cancel your registration because, again, your registration is location specific. So the first thing they check is the accuracy of your food facility registration. Then they're also going to check things like, your food facility cleanliness, personal hygiene of your staff, equipment cleanliness. So again, they are checking to make sure that you are producing the products in the right way for the US consumer. They're going to check things like your food handling processes, storage, ingredients, supply chain control, food labeling, and packaging. Very, very important. Again, I have a different YouTube video that I'm going to be talking about food labeling and packaging. It's not yet up as of the time I'm recording this, but again, just make sure to subscribe so that you'll be notified when I have that available. Food labeling and packaging. They will also check pest control and measures you put in place, and then they will check compliance to GMP, Good Manufacturing Practice, and HACCP, hazard analysis and critical control processes. They will check that your facility is in compliance with these two, especially this. Again, in the FDA terms, there's what you call foreign facility verification, FSV. So again, those are advanced terms. I'm going to talk more about that later. But basically, these are processes that helps an importer of record, whoever is there in the USA that is receiving the product, to verify that you, the foreign company in South Africa or wherever, meets a lot of the processes that the FDA needs. So again, take it seriously. You cannot have an inspection if your US agent is not there to tell you that the FDA called and they want to inspect you. Now, what are some of the things that can trigger an inspection? We'll talk about that later. But again, just know that your US agent is responsible for letting you know when an inspection is up. And again, I've already mentioned some of the key things you need to know that they're going to talk about during the inspection. Now, registration, validity, and updates. Now, your registration is typically valid for 2 years. It's a little bit tricky, so let me explain the way it works. Now, you are required to renew your registration from October 1st to December 31st of even numbered years. So 2024, 2026, 28, 30, etc. So if I register, say October 10th, which is between this 2024, I'm going to need to renew my registration between October and December 31st of 2026, right? So it's every 2 years. Every 2 years, I need to renew those registrations, okay? If by December 31st, you do not renew, your registration is canceled. So that is something you need to note. Very, very important, right? So a lot of questions that I also get, I registered August 2024. Since it's the same 2024, do I need to renew my registration? Yes, you're going to need to renew your registration between October 1st and December 31st of 2024. So again, take note of that. Now, a lot of you, when you're dealing with your US agent will typically charge you for either 1 year service or 2 year service. We need to get something clear. Your US agent is not providing you registration with the FDA. Right? You register with the FDA, but what your US agent is providing you is FDA communication service. They are there to monitor the communication. So you may register from, say, September 2024, and your registration expires December 31st. Again, it depends on the agreement you have with your US agent. Some US agent will tell you that once your registration expires December 31st, 2024, then they stop monitoring you. You have to register again with them. So again, be very cautious. Make sure you look at the terms that your US agent is providing. And we make it very easy, very, very easy. If you register with us, say September, we'll typically tell you when it expires, and within that period, if you need to renew, we'll help you renew it. Okay, so again, be cautious about this. The FDA registration will expire between October and December 31st of even numbered years, and again, depending on the service you have with your registration, right? So when do you need to update your registration? If something changes, you need to update it if there's a change in ownership. So there's a new owner, there's a new CEO, another company acquired your company, you need to update those registrations, right? Or if you have a company that was acquired by a new company, then that new company needs to update the registration, right? There's a change in facility, and then you also change the activity that you do in your facility. So instead of storing, you now started manufacturing your own products. You need to update that and tell them, look, I am now the manufacturer, no longer just a storage facility. And then if there's a change in the type of food being handled, right? So I moved from animal food and now I'm doing human food, you need to update your registration. So 4 key things: change in ownership, change in address, change in activity, and change in the type of food being produced. Now, typically from the date of change, you have 60 days to update it with the FDA. Now, this is very important. Why is it important? Imagine you made a change January 1. So what it means is you have till March 60 days. So that will be February, let's say February 28 to update your registration, right? So January 1 to February, I'm assuming, is about 60 days. Imagine if the FDA inspectors came to your facility in April and they see that you did not update your the change within 60 days. You start telling them, oh, in January we made this change. So you can take note of these things. These are things that could lead your registration to be canceled. Because when the FDA inspectors come, what happens is that you are not in the facility that you have on your registration. And if you start telling them, oh, we moved in April, April is 120 days ago. So again, take note of this thing. So now, why can they cancel your registration? There are a couple of reasons why your registration can be canceled. Now, if the facility is no longer active and no longer operates, obviously one of the reasons they come to inspect your facility, they see that it's no longer in operation, they will cancel it, right? Now, the facility does not renew between October 1 and 31st of even numbered years. Your registration is canceled. So once it hits December 31st, you don't renew, it is canceled, right? FDA finds false or misleading information using your registration. So for example, you don't manufacture, you don't process, you don't pack, you don't store any of these products, right? So maybe you are buying it somewhere else, and from that place you are moving it directly to the port, and then you say you do this. That means the facility is not doing what it says in their registration. So again, take note of that. You do not want to give misleading information. If they come to inspect, they will cancel the registration. There is proof of any form of intentional falsification of record, right? So for example, what would be a falsification of record? a different facility. That is a typical case, right? You say you operate here, but when they come to check, they see something else. Again, that's the grounds for, or any form of adulteration of food or any form of fraudulent activities at the facility could lead to it being denied. The facility is operating under conditions that are hazardous to consuming food produced there. Right, so again, that's one of the reasons you need to be very cautious. Make sure your GMP and your HACCP processes are in place. Very, very important. Now, if you refuse FDA officials to inspect your facility, it's cancelled. Right, and then the last one is you fail to adhere to the GMP and the HACCP. These are regulations that came up under the Food Safety Modernization Act of 2011, I believe, right, where they required facilities to comply with some of those processes, right? If they come to your facility and it doesn't meet those things, they will cancel it. So those are some of the reasons why they may cancel your registration. Now, I've talked a lot so far. I hope you're following me. You now have a good understanding of how the FDA works. So again, like I said, if you think I've given you enough value, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe. I'm going to be talking about a lot of other things with respect to the FDA operations, food labeling and packaging, things like DWPE that comes under FDA operation, detained without physical examination. There are a lot of things about the FDA that I will be talking about. So again, hit that subscribe button so you will be notified. Now, 5 key things I want you to take note of in this. Number 1, ensure that you have selected the right activity for your facility. And that's why I left this here. It's very important. Number 2, make sure you are selecting a credible US agent. Like I said, your brother or sister are not your US agent because they may be fast asleep when the FDA calls, right? Make sure you are using a credible company as a US agent, and we offer that service as well. You must be able to update your details free. This is one of the things I have seen with some US agents. You register with them, and anytime you need to change an address, they will tell you, oh, it's going to be $70, it's going to be $100. No. You must be able to update your details of your facility absolutely free. Inspections can happen at any time. Make sure you are ready, but typically the US agent will inform you of any inspection. And again, you must understand the operations of the FDA. Why do I say this? Because I have seen people who have registered with the FDA, but at the end of the day, they don't even know how to file their prior notice, right? What is prior notice? Anytime you're shipping food products to the USA, if you have an FDA registration, you are supposed to notify them typically 24 to 48 hours, depending on the mode of transport, before the food gets there. Now, why is this notification important? That's where you need to understand the operations of the FDA. They have alert system for various food, depending on where it's coming from, depending on the type of food, and they may detain your product even before it gets there. Right? So if you don't follow these processes, again, like I said, these are some of the things that can trigger an inspection. They receive food products from you, you are not using your prior notice correctly. What happens? They may detain that product, and then because this guy does not know the processes that he's supposed to follow, they will now send out inspectors to your facility. So you need to be cautious. You need to understand the operations of the FDA. And I'm going to talk more about it. I'm going to tell you how. I'm going to show you more in-depth teachings. If I start to talk about the operations of the FDA, then this video is probably going to be 3-4 hours. So again, those are the 5 key things. Number 1, ensure you select the right activity. Number 2, ensure you are using a right US agent, credible US agent. You must be able to update your registration free. Inspections can happen at any time. Make sure you are ready, and most importantly, make sure you understand the operations of the FDA. All right, so we're almost there at the end. So how do I register? This is a key question. I'm sure that's what all of you have been waiting for. How do I register? Now, your US agent will typically handle your registration. You're going to sign up either on their platform, and you send your details to them. They'll ask you for some key details, and you send it to them. Your US agent will typically charge you 1 year or 2 years. That's what you see all the time. Either 1 year or 2 years to be your US agent. Check the terms. Now, what do you need to register? Remember again, all the food facility registration is asking for is to know details of your location. That is the key thing, right? So the key things you're going to need to provide is your facility address. And again, this is required for any separate facility that makes food that goes to the USA, right? Your facility address, the facility ownership details of the owner. Then you're going to have the emergency contact details of the owner, details of the facility operator. So if the owner is ABC Limited and is operated by a different company, they are going to need to know all those details. The type of food produced in the facility, the type of operation, and then the hours of operation. Right? So again, an FDA food facility registration is not complex. It's a registration that already has most of the things you have in the normal course of your business. And then obviously, once you are registered with the FDA, you automatically agree that they can come and inspect your facility at any time. Now, US agent service costs, this is very important. Now, many companies in the US act as US agent, and I have seen registration costs for US agent typically ranges from $299 to some are charging almost $1,000, about $1,000 per year. Right? That's what you see most US agents charge. And it can be pretty complex. When you now talk about 2 years, they will charge $499 to over $1,500. And this is for 2 years, right? But again, we offer these services. We only do it for $199 for 1 year and $299 for 2 years. And again, the reason we do this is because we could have said, look, let's charge what others charge, but we felt that our target audience, who are really African companies, a lot of them may not have the ability to pay so much, especially if they are starting. So that's why we decided to lower it a little. But again, like I said, we do registrations for companies irrespective of where you are, and that's our typical charge, right? We have facilities, we have staffs who are there stationed 24/7, ready to receive communication from the FDA on your behalf. So again, the link is there to contact us for your registration. Now, let's assume you have registered. What are the typical issues that you are likely to face by a registered company? Now, what do you do with the registration, right? I've seen this many times. People come to me and they say, oh, they've registered. And you know what most people do? They begin to put the FDA food facility number on their products. They will put FDA approved, and then they will put their food facility registration number on their product. That is not a requirement for your food products, right? The FDA doesn't need you to put your FDA food facility registration number. The registration is really for when you are exporting, right? So again, these are the typical issues people face in their registration. Now, what do they do with the registration? They use it for the wrong thing. Are my registrations to be on my food labels? That's what I just talked about. What do I do when I'm shipping to the USA? These are questions that a lot of you have even after you've registered. And I've talked about it briefly, the prior notice, right? But I'm going to give you other ways where I show you how to do your prior notice. Who and how do I handle my pre-alert notification? Obviously, your prior notice. What if my shipment is held despite being registered? Right? This happens a lot, especially depending on the type of food product. The FDA has an alert list that I can show you how to pull it up. In fact, when I show some companies that their names are on the FDA alert list, they are shocked. And then they now begin to discover that, oh, that's why anytime they ship into the USA, their product is always held and they always inspect their products. There is a reason. Once you don't understand the FDA operations, you've made an error initially that made them to hold your product, they will continue holding it on and on. So you need to understand the FDA operation as time goes on. What happens if they need to inspect my shipment? What do I do if the FDA comes to my facility? So again, like I said, you need to understand all aspects of the FDA food facility registration. So how do we here help you to understand it? How does my company help you to meet all these issues that are faced when you are registered? So again, we offer the food facility registration and the US agent service, $199 for 1 year and $299 for 2 years. But on top of that, we are also going to offer you related FDA trainings absolutely free. These are trainings that I go to companies and I charge $500, $300. You can see the cost that I charge for them. But because you are registering with us, your FDA food facility registration, we are going to give you the FDA food labeling training free, the shipping training free, and the operations training absolutely free. So you're paying just $199 for a year and you're getting all this free. You're paying $299 for 2 years, you're also getting all this free. Now, I also, again, remember, my vision is to help African companies grow and build an export business to the USA. So again, once you register with us, we're going to offer you a lot of trainings that you can see there: how to export documentation, how to find buyers in the USA. We'll show you how to set up your Amazon store. Amazon is huge. A lot of people are making good money on Amazon. For those of you who are in the sub-Saharan region, we'll teach you about AGOA, show you how to export your products free without paying duties to the USA. Now, we have warehouses in the USA. So again, once you register with us, we give you a space free for 45 days, to store your product. So again, we are going to show you how to find buyers, how to ship to the USA. Now you need a place to store your product so that as the buyers buy, we simply ship it to them. So we offer all that free. And then I have an export community where I teach people about export. You will be added to that community. And in that community, I do a monthly mentorship. I come in every month and I teach people how to export. So all those things are there that you get absolutely free. So again, summary of what you get when you register with us. We'll show you how to do the prior notice filing, FDA operations, correct export process. You learn so many things. A lot of these things are free that you need to run your FDA correctly. Now, that's the end of the video. Again, like I said, if you are currently exporting to the USA and you want to go from paying $1,000 to just $199 a year, give us a call, send us an email, go to the link below. We'll help you with your FDA Food Facility Registration. And again, like I said, you have all these details, this free training, absolutely free. If you are somebody who is looking to also start an export business, because of all the trainings we have when you register with us, you can also benefit from that. So again, check out these other videos of mine that I have where I'm talking about how to export to the USA. These are amazing videos. It's going to teach you how to find buyers, how to export food the right way. Again, the FDA process is also different from what Customs and Border Protection expects you when you are exporting. So check out these videos. And again, thank you for watching. Make sure you've subscribed. I'll see you another time.